Hi, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, Texas on Friday, December the 20th. And welcome to our commentary. I guess this is our Friday before Christmas. So I hope that everybody is getting all your Christmas shopping done and everything else. We got a new background, as you could probably tell from the picture there. I think it looks pretty good. I hope you like it as well. Well, Merry Christmas, of course, to everybody as you get ready for your holidays. There are still 4 or 5 days to go, but this weekend will be very intense as families travel, and the next couple of days, Monday and Tuesday, of course, when the holidays really get going around town. So I hope that everything is going to work out well for you. I hope your family gets to see you. I hope you get to see your friends and family. It's always important to do that at this time of the year. Well, let's talk a little bit about what's happening in the House and in the Congress. And, I think this turned out to be a huge victory for President Trump, President-elect Trump. And let me explain. What he did by shutting down the CR or the 1,600-page CR, is that he basically took away the last opportunity the Democrats had to pass much of what they wanted to pass. And by reducing it to 160 pages and all of that, not only does it look better, but I think it fits into more of what the incoming Trump administration wants to do. So I think this turned out to be a huge victory for President-elect Trump. It caught the Republicans in the House a bit off guard. I think the Republicans should have never gone along with the original 1,600 pages. They should have fought that harder. But I think a lot of them decided to, go along with it, and then President Trump stopped it. So I think it was a huge victory for President Trump. I believe that they will eventually work something out. The last story I heard is that they were going to have 3 different bills. Fine, that's okay. That's okay with me. Honestly, I wish they would do that more often. I wish they would, would vote for things more on a single issue basis than to have these resolutions. I mean, I think that it stinks to have, all these pages full of this and full of that. I think it's better if there was one for every piece of legislation. But anyway, it looks like it'll pass sometime today. That's the last I heard. It looks like it's going to be 2 or 3 different pieces of legislation. That's the last I heard. That makes sense. So hopefully by the end of Friday the 20th, everybody can go home and enjoy their holidays and then get back to work. Get back to work after the first of the year, when there's going to be a Republican majority in the Senate and in the House. The Republican majority in the Senate is critical to get spending done, because you can pass spending bills in the U.S. Senate on the basis of reconciliation, which means all you need is 51 votes. Whereas if you go through regular legislation, that's 60 votes. So reconciliation will allow a Republican majority to get a lot of things done without having to, even have any Democrat votes. And if you lose a few Republicans, you still have, the vice president for a 50-50 tie, and you still have a margin of 3 or 4 Republicans that you can afford to lose and still pass the spending reconciliation. So I think it's critical to get this to the next month. And I believe that they've done that. I believe they've done that by rejecting the CR. So that's a huge victory. I mean, it's just absolutely huge victory for President-elect Trump. And hopefully the speaker, the next time he's going to do something like this, he checks with President Trump first, because I think that would have been a lot more helpful for him. I'm sure he would have had a much more pleasant holiday than what he's had so far. But again, congratulations to everybody. I think they'll get it done today, and they can move on to their holidays, and then they can all come back next year and get something done for real. A couple of big stories that are out there. I heard that the Biden administration has forgiven more student debt. I thought that was unconstitutional. The Supreme Court said it was unconstitutional. They keep on doing it. So I'm just curious as to, how long this is going to be around, because the Supreme Court said he couldn't do it. Now, I think what they're doing in this one is that they're giving it to public sector workers, and it's they're kind of getting around the Supreme Court with technical language, but still, why should the government pay off your debts? I mean, the only time that the government should do anything like that is for soldiers, people in the military. Like, for example, if you go to the military, look, our third son went in the military and they paid off his college. I'm all for that. Or if you do some kind of work in government service or in some type of work for the country or whatever, okay, if you want to work for that. But I mean, just for this, I don't get it at all. I hope that it gets reversed and we can put an end to this garbage of canceling student debt. That's not what the role of the federal government is. And last but not least, there's a very interesting story in the Wall Street Journal that everybody's talking about. And that is the story that many people in the White House knew about the decline in President Biden's condition or his health or whatever. And that more and more people knew about this, and more people were aware of the fact that he was not 100%. And many of us suspected this by the number or the lack of press conferences or by the personal appearances. Everybody remembers when he went to Europe a few months ago, just how out of touch with reality he looked. And just, I mean, how bad he looked. And now these stories in the Wall Street Journal are confirming all of this. And look, I don't even need the Wall Street Journal to tell me that this was going on or that he has been, disconnected from the day-to-day job. Just look in the last couple of weeks. After Assad fell in Syria, we fired 75 missiles into Syria. We were hitting, I guess, some ISIS camps or something. There was no explanation to the country. President of the United States did not explain anything about this. Didn't go on TV and say, hey, look, this is what I just ordered. An attack of 75 missiles. Didn't explain anything. He just did it. And we learned about it in the media. Well, that's not a good thing. But that's what happens when you have a president who they don't want to put in front of a microphone. And then, of course, there's this whole situation with, the continuing resolution, the CR in Congress, where he's been completely silent. He's been completely out of touch. I mean, what is he doing? Now, they tell us he's talking to people on the phone. Okay, all right, I'll give him that. I'll accept that. But maybe he should have been out more up front, calling on both sides to negotiate something. And he hasn't. He's been completely in the background. And where's the vice president, by the way? She's the head of the Senate. She's the constitutional president of the Senate. Where is she during all of this? So, look, I think, it'll be over in about 30 days. And he can retire peacefully and enjoy his retirement. But this has not been good for the country. This kind of a presidency has not been good for the country. We'll have a very happy Christmas weekend. And we're going to be chatting with our friend Frank Burke from up in Wisconsin. We're going to be doing a Christmas conversation on Sunday night. I'll put it up as soon as we record it. And we're going to be talking about that great book and film, Christmas book and film by Charles Dickens, A Christmas Carol. And I've always had a fascination with that story. And part of the reason that I've always had a fascination with that story is that when you grow up in Cuba, like I did, and you come to the United States from a different Christmas culture, like I did, I didn't know anything about Charles Dickens and A Christmas Carol until I got here. And I began to see or hear the kids in school talk about Scrooge and stuff like that. I didn't know anything about it. So I had to learn it, I guess, later on in life. And there's a great film, A Christmas Carol from the early 50s with Alastair Sim playing the role of Scrooge. That's, I think, the best one they've ever made. And that's the one they usually show, by the way, on around this time of the year. They also show a couple of others, but that's my favorite, the one from 1951. You ought to check that one out if you want to see that film. But we'll be talking a little bit about the book and some of the great quotes that came from that book and that movie and everything else. So we'll do that on Sunday night. And if you look in the archives, you'll see that we had a video interview with our friend Leslie Eastman, contributor to Legal Insurrection. That was a really interesting interview that we had with her. I hope you check it out. Thank you for listening. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye, everybody.